Hey, Armin here. Welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show, where we cover training, nutrition, supplementation strategies, and a whole lot more. So stand by. Hey, and welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
And I'm Frank Mills, and welcome back to the NSP Nutrition Show. We appreciate you joining us, whether you're watching or listening. We're very thankful that you are. Today, Armin and I, we're going to be talking about program, 9 now we're on, Armin?
Yes, sir.
Program 9 from Vince Gironda's Master Series. So we're going to be talking about that and the benefits of MCT oil.
Yep.
A lot of people are talking about that, so we thought we'd get into that today as well. So let's get started. For all of you who have been with us from the very beginning of the Vince Gironda Master Series, here we are on number 9. We've come a long way, right, Armin?
It's quite a document. I mean, he really put together a very comprehensive breakdown of different things that came to mind for him as people phase their training from one thing to the next. And I found it very interesting. I mean, he still has the Pro Series, so that's a whole nother thing we could do. But when we get done with this one, we'll probably got to change it up a little bit because I'm sure some people are like, well, okay, how much more we need to know about the Master Series? But there have been some good takeaways, and I think that it's been beneficial. So
I absolutely agree. There's been a lot of things that anyone can use and implement either into their nutrition plan, into their workout program, maybe even create something brand new. So a lot of great information. So let's get into Program 9. What's really involved with Program 9 of the Master Series, Armin?
Okay, so at this point in time, Vince gets into talking about how muscles developed by describing the best time to train. So he had some thoughts on that. Preparation, programs of exercise. Again, he's always changing that up, sets and reps, along with the nutrition and supplements. So he's kind of, again, making another change here at this phase of the document for people that they're taking a break from the different stuff that they were doing before. So he's making other adjustments, but also educating along the way would be how I'd put it.
Okay. Well, it does sound like a great program and a lot of great information, but what is the best time to train, Armin?
Well, according to Vince, the best time to train is when your blood sugar levels are at its highest. So he starts off with that. I mean, which, that makes sense because that's going to give you, energy as well.
Well, is there a specific time in regards to that?
Yeah, so actually, in his thought, there was 2 times, depending on basically your age. So he felt like men under 30, they perform better and got better results by training in the evening. And there's a lot of debate going back and forth about, being stronger in the evening. And I do agree that I think if you want to have a better strength, the evening time is pretty good. It's pretty productive. But that also depends on how much stress you got going on and if you ate enough food during the day, that kind of thing. But there's been some research that states that that's a really good productive time and you can get a little bit better strength gains. So he felt like, under 30, you could do that because he would even train as late as 10 p.m. because he's so busy with his gym. Now, then he put it as mature men. So I assume this is going to be 31 and over. Didn't really state what mature men would be. To me, it'd be more like 40 and up kind of thing. But he felt like they did better with the early morning training sessions. And that's kind of what that's where I'm at now, is just because of the schedule and doing things. And, I'm in a local gym here that's in a small community. So it's busy as hell around 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And so my training partner can't really do that time slot either. So we just been doing like 7:30 in the morning, and it's still working for us. We still get good workouts and stuff. But that was another point. And then, Vince himself, he kind of put another, and he just trains himself at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned before, when he's in his 20s, he would do 10 p.m. I could see that happening because you got all kinds of energy in your 20s, so it doesn't really matter. And you tend to
Mm-hmm.
go to sleep pretty good. So there you go.
Yeah, if you're working out, you do get some sleep. That is for sure. So I am kind of curious, Armin, with all this being said, how did Vince structure the number of days to actually train? I mean, did he have a formula for that?
As you can tell, as each chapter goes by, he's changing things up on how many days you're going to train, how you're going to do the splits. So now at this point, he's going back to an upper body, lower body split.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, we were doing three muscle groups or so, and then splitting up over like 2 to 3 over 3 days. Well, here we're just back down to 2 days. So upper body, lower body. So upper body day one, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you had a little more emphasis on upper body. And
Mm-hmm.
then lower body was Tuesday, Thursday. And he also threw in the abs on the lower body day. So I guess he assumed the weekends would be good just for total recovery, let the central nervous system
Mm-hmm.
kick up. So that's where he's at right now with this stage of the training. He's going back to a regular 2 day split.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I was kind of curious about the preparation part of it because, if you're prepared, normally you're going to be very, very successful. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, preparation as far as Vince was concerned was the right mental attitude. Being mentally
Oh,
prepared to
okay.
take on that day's workout. So
Mm-hmm.
he stated that you want to have a really clear image of what you wish to feel, and then what you're going to get from the workout, and then at that point put some visual inventory of the physique as part of it. So basically, his thought was like, you need to prepare yourself so that you're going to be working on your weak points each training session and decide on how you're going to improve them by picking out the exercises that will bring up the weak points. So you have this mental strategy every workout. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I do as well, because you want to have a nice balance physique. And then he went on to say, learning how to flex and control the muscle helps provide a better mind muscle connection, which he felt would give a better nerve impulse for
Mm-hmm.
muscle contraction. So he felt like when you're practicing flexing muscle and feeling it contract and getting this mental connection with it, he felt that was much more productive. And at this point, he wanted to see more people really start to focus on that as part of their development. That's how I would put it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds good, but based on your experience, are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I think it makes a difference. Anytime that
Mm-hmm.
you're using your mind to connect with what's going on physically, I think you're going to get some benefit. But I will say this:
Right.
it's not the easiest thing to do. It's not just as simple as just okay, I'm going to do things this way.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
really.
Well, so why do you say that? I mean, do you have some other thoughts there?
Well, so I'm constantly, from my own personal experience, focusing on my form and trying to make sure I can feel the muscle contract, the muscle's working. But what ends up happening is you're doing this, you start out when you're fresh, you start out pretty good. You can engage, you can feel it. But then as you're starting to fatigue, you start getting a little overwhelmed and your focus starts to diminish on, completing the movement in some cases. And so you have to really, really keep your mindset. And then, if you had a training partner, have them help you. And this is probably why Vince seemed, so adamant about not adding weight too soon
Mm-hmm.
as you're developing, because he felt like you need to be sure you've got everything down pat well mentally and also with your central nervous system. So he was advocating at this point, do not add weight until after three workouts of the same workout to make sure you got it down really well, and then add weight because again you're going to be affecting the stimulus. And he also want to make sure you got as many quality reps as possible at each and every session versus getting a sloppy form and not getting the quality reps. So it kind of makes sense to me. I think that was probably a good move, especially at this time and when he wrote this information.
He spent a lot of time really thinking about and actually working hard on how to figure this stuff out so that
Oh
the
yeah.
guys he was training would get the maximum results and not afraid to change it up. That's for sure. Now, The one thing I was looking at is the program of exercise. I assume that's, the exercises that he was having people do. Is that what that is?
Yeah, so you basically assumed correctly. I mean, day one, like we mentioned before, is going to be upper body Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so what he did with that particular program, since he's focused on upper body,
Mm-hmm.
he put the exercises in this order, which I find interesting. He starts with pecs first. So he does a V-bar parallel dip or a barbell neck press. So he gives you one or the other. Okay. And then he goes to lats with the horizontal pull wide to the chest for the lats.
Mm-hmm.
And then delts, he's going to do just an upright row. Triceps barbell pullover press, so kind of a combination exercise. And then biceps, he goes into compound barbell preacher curl, and you use that with the drag curl. So he's adding a little more stress to the biceps at this point. And then on forearms, just a barbell wrist curl. So that's kind of your upper body.
Mm-hmm.
And then on day two for lower body, which was Tuesday and Thursday, for thighs, this is where he's going to the hack squat to develop the hamstrings as well. So he would do the Larry Scott hack squat, where you take your feet outside the hack and then come down nice and deep to engage hamstrings. So he brought that into play. And then he also did hyperextensions to help stretch the hamstrings and help with that contraction too, because that hyperextensions do get your hamstrings. And you need to be really careful of those too, because it's a really serious isolation exercise. After that, it was just, you had calves with toe raises, and you want to keep those reps in the 20 rep range. And then the abs was basically, as we got the stiff leg abdominal crunch. And that's his way of doing a leg raise, which is on the floor, not hanging.
Wow. That's a lot of detailed exercises. So I know he had the plan. How about sets and reps?
So at this point, he's basically saying, okay, we're going to do 3 sets, and especially for the hard gainer, with the option to add a 4th set. If you felt you could keep your quality up with your repetitions and your form. But at this point, he suggests start with 8 reps. And as you progress, you're going to work your way up to 12 reps before adding weight. So each week, your goal is to try to get, a few more reps once you start getting over 12, then that means the weight's getting easier and it's time to add some more weight, and your form's probably pretty good because you're going from 8 to 12. It's additional 4 reps. On the compound movements, he mentioned, the second exercise is going to be less than the first. So for example, the preacher curl would be 8 reps. Okay. And then he would go to drag curl using 40% less weight to get 6 reps. So that's where he gets a little off the rail on strategy. But it looked like he was doing this to help people who have a hard time bringing up their biceps. So that was what he put into the program from there. Then abdominals, he was just doing 4 sets of 12 reps with that area. So that's where that was at as far as his rep scheme at this point in time.
All right. Did he have maybe a type of a timetable on how long you should do these exercises?
Well, again, he never really states in here, and I think it's because this is just part of his coaching program at the time. So once when he felt like when you do your workouts and you kind of track them, then he would determine, hey, I think it was time to move on. And that's probably based on how your strength was coming and your reps and your development. So like anything, you can do these things for 12 to 16 weeks. It depends on how you're responding, and if you're making really good gains, and you could continue to just stick with it a little bit longer. But once it becomes a little bit stale to you, so to speak, and you're just not feeling like you're getting much, you obviously definitely want to move on to another change up. So that would be my thoughts on that.
So as we close here in the segment, any final thoughts on Program 9?
Yeah, so my opinion, and based on what I read, this is important to start focusing more on your weaker body parts, which at this stage you're probably going to have some, to bring those up, and that's a long, arduous process to figure out how you're going to bring them up, because you want to have good balance with physique, especially if you're going to compete. So that was pretty important. And then again, you'd be using, I think, the muscle priority system to make sure you're training those weaker body parts. When you're fresher, you can get more mental focus and get more stimulation. I think that's always been helpful, especially from my own personal experience. And then I would suggest using other exercises to kind of like, again, to change it up. He did like parallel bar dips, but he also do barbell neck press. But, maybe after as you're progressing, throw in some dumbbell presses, or some flies help stretch out the pecs. So, plug and play other exercises as you're doing these combinations, because you're doing them pretty regular. Do some pull-ups and rows for the back instead of just doing all pull downs, lateral raises instead of just presses or upright rows, close grip bench. I just love that exercise for triceps. It's a really great tricep builder. Incline curls, I kind of change it up if you want, but it looks like his curling was going to hit you pretty good. And then obviously for legs, the quads, leg press, maybe some sissy squats, standing, the calves, standing calves, seated calves. So these are just ways to kind of make a program last a little longer, but also to keep changing up what's really working for you in your workouts. Because some of these movements, you may get a better response than what maybe he suggested. If you find that out, that's what you need to know. So that's kind of how I would deal with it. Yeah.
Well, another informative segment, that's program 9 of Vince Granda's Master Series. We hope you enjoyed it, learned something. Maybe it'll take something away, or maybe you just try it for your own personal workout. But we appreciate it. And Armin, as always, great job. Guys, stand by. We got to take a quick break, and you'll hear from NSP Nutrition. Armin and I will be right back.
Hey, welcome back to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
Hey, and I'm Frank Mills, and hey, we're going to get right into our next segment, and we're going to talk about the benefits of MCT oil. But again, before we do, I didn't know this. Learn something every day. MCT oil is available on nspnutrition.com now. Armin, when did this happen?
Well, it's been around for a while, but if you're not familiar with it, this is going to be a good segment to learn about the benefits of it and understanding how these different oils are broken down. But it's great if you're looking to improve your energy level. It's great for helping to burn fat. That's another benefit of it. And so you're going to learn quite a bit about it on this particular episode. So stand by and hang on.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. So check out nspnutrition.com for your MCT oil. If you're already trying it, try theirs. And if you don't know anything like me, listen to what Armin says and you'll find out. So let's get right into this, Armin. The benefits of MCT oil. I guess we should start explaining, what does MCT mean? Because I have no idea.
Okay, so all that means is the MCT stands for medium chain triglyceride oil or medium chain fatty acids. That's what it boils down to. And it's just an acronym for that.
Okay.
Now, it's really comprised of different acids that are fractionated. It comes from coconut oil. Now, you can get it from other oils. We'll touch on that. But predominantly, it's easy to extract from coconut oil. And it's the benefit of MCT oil is it stays liquid in room temperature. Coconut oil doesn't do that unless it's 70 degrees or warmer. It'll become a liquid, but it'll condense if it gets cooler than that. So you don't have that issue with MCT oil, because when they fractionate it, they extract it, and the heating process allows it to stay in a liquid form. So that's a good thing to be aware of on that. The term triglyceride, though, really refers to the structure that involves these fatty acids as they're attached to a glycerol background. So for anybody who wants to get a little more technical, that's what the triglyceride refers to. Again, fatty acids attached to a glycerol backbone. Now, some of the key acids, and this is why it's called medium chain, your fatty acids are carbon chained. Okay, so there's different ranges. You have short term, you have short, medium, and long chain fatty acids. So with this, the medium chain, or the amount of carbons, is like C6, so 6 carbons, all the way up to 12 carbons, and that's going to be your medium chain of fatty acids that are usable for the system. Now, most of you are consuming what's long chain fatty acids, okay, which is going to be 13 or more carbons, different fats, saturated fats, etc.
All right, so I'm really kind of still in the dark, but what made you decide to want to talk about MCT oil, or this topic, and how it actually works with nutrition?
So I had dealt with this a long time ago, from another coach that I had worked with back when I was in my 20s, my late 20s, and they only had a particular type of MCT oil which they used, and it really worked. I really noticed a difference from it. So based on having that experience, and then I realized that NSP has the MCT oil. I'm going to get back on that because of what happened. It was available, and the way they structured it. It's a really good supplement. I'll explain more about that, but it does work. And this is going to be a great resource for people that are staying low carb or doing carb cycling, because the way it works is it really doesn't convert to fat very easily. You really got to overdo it to have that happen. But it's great for energy. I mean, you'll notice it.
All right. So tell us a little bit more on maybe why, because I'm sure a lot of people want some more information.
Okay. So it's, sometimes referred to as the fatless fat, because the typical uptake speed into your body, it's actually a fat that acts like a carbohydrate. So that's one of the unique things about it. Once you have it, it goes right to the liver, and then as soon as it's processed to the liver, it immediately uses energy as converted to ketones. So then you have these ketones, and the way it converts them, the way they get in your system, it's actually better for the brain, more so than carbohydrates, because they're just as quickly absorbed. And one thing you're going to notice when you're training with it, you heat up kind of quicker too, which was very interesting to me when I first learned about them. But it does get in your system pretty quickly, and one of the other benefits of it doesn't raise your serum cholesterol levels like some people would think they would. It can actually lower them. So you've got a lot of benefits here just by plugging this in to help give you good energy, and also to help you not worry about adding more bad fat, so to speak, as people would say. It's a great resource for that.
Really interesting. Let's talk about the ketones. Again, I've never heard about this stuff, but for our audience, exactly what do we need to know to understand about the ketones?
Okay, ketones themselves are metabolic acids that really result from the incomplete digestion of fat. Okay, so you also get an increase in ketone production when undergoing, like an extended fast. This is how your body breaks down fat, okay, and it gets it in the bloodstream. So these ketones are what's getting sent out into the system. It's a great alternative to your energy source, especially to glucose, because it gives you good energy. And it's the only form of carbohydrate, so to speak, that circulates in the blood. These ketones start circulating, and now you've got this energy resource. So that's really a nice benefit. Most tissues and organs, here's the thing with that, is they can substitute the ketones just like they would for glucose as an energy source. So it compares to a quick energy source, just like a carbohydrate. So that's one of the nice trade-offs with it. So if you're not having the carbohydrates, you don't really spare energy because you have the ketones available. So that's a good thing. And again, like I mentioned before, it's great. It's actually better for the brain than glucose. So your brain uses this much more effectively. So if you're looking for better brain function, this can help with that. And that's why you see these different coffees that are kind of offering that, that in these different, you'll see those too, because of how it affects the brain. Now, recent studies are showing that MCTs Also enhance exercise endurance by promoting, the increased it really helps improve mitochondria activity. And I can tell you, it does make a difference. I mean, it does improve your stamina and your energy because it's there. And I've
Hmm.
noticed that one of the symptoms of that is you're going to sweat a lot more, but the pump you get is pretty phenomenal. So that's why I like using them. Um, and then lastly, ketones provide an anti-catabolic effect. So this helps to spare muscle as you're training, you're breaking muscle down. So that's another benefit of it. So when you do too much and you start breaking down muscle beyond what you normally would do, then that's a difference. It helps spare that muscle. So, and
Hmm.
that's what a lot of athletes use it. So yeah.
So I am kind of curious, how likely are MCTs to be converted to fat? So, I mean, is that something that happens easily, or is that something that you don't have to worry about too much?
Typically it's not going to happen. I mean, your body's going to use it because it gets in the system, and if you're, especially if you're doing a low carb diet, it's
Hmm.
virtually impossible because you're going to use this as your energy source. And
Hmm.
also the other thing is, because it's a fat, this doesn't affect insulin levels. This is great for people who have insulin sensitivity problems that want better energy. So they're starting to use more of it for diabetics as well because it keeps your insulin down. Okay. And it's not going to kick up to move it to the fat cells. So you keep the
Right,
insulin
right.
down. That's a great thing. Also, it when you compare it to fat, I mean, it doesn't have the same calories as fat, kilocalories. And so instead of being
Hmm.
9, it's 8.3. Now, it's not a big difference, but it does
Right.
give some other insight to how it burns. And so it's a little bit more efficient than just regular fat. But that's kind of something that's kind of splitting hairs there. So, but the thing is that you're really going to put on fat from it because the way your body's using it, it's going to ingest, and then MCTs promote the body fat synthesis. So it allows you actually to burn more fat because
Hmm.
that's what you're using these ketones, and you want to keep using them. Your body's going to keep looking to convert them. So that's what some of the science is saying.
Well, since it's a form of fat, are there any side effects if you use it?
Okay, so that's a real good point. When you start out taking MCT oil, because it is a fat, if you take too much of it, it can upset your stomach. So you
Oh,
have to
okay.
kind of let
Okay.
you kind of have to take small amount and kind of build up to the doses that they typically recommend. So it can affect the stomach. It could cause some bloating and diarrhea if you take too much. So you start out with a small dose, and I'll explain more about that. Um, the typical dose over time is generally about less than 5 grams to start with. Okay,
Hmm.
so like the MCT oil that the NSP has, it's going to be around 4 grams with the typical dose that's on the bottle. But you can take more than that, but that's where you're at. So it's pretty safe that it's probably not going to give you any stomach issue. But as you get more into it, and depending on your energy demands, you can take 15 to 20 grams of this stuff a day and
Wow.
have great energy. So it's but you just got to do it gradually so your digestive tract,
Hmm.
once it gets in there, it breaks it down and doesn't irritate it. So I mean, yeah.
All right. So, what is the best way to take MCT oil?
So there's been a lot of debates on this. Like when I first did it way back when I
Hmm.
was in my late 20s, they recommend you pour it on your vegetables so it wouldn't irritate your stomach. But the science says that that's not good. It doesn't absorb as well. So they're
Hmm.
really,
Okay.
at this point, they stay taking it on empty stomach for better absorption. Uh, uh, like like any carbohydrate, and it can affect the absorption. So when you add vegetables or other carbohydrates and you pour it on there, it's not going to absorb as well, probably because of the fiber. So
Okay.
like with the NSP, they have them in a gel cap. So that's really convenient because otherwise you got to kind of put it in your coffee or put it on,
Hmm.
in a liquid form. When you have these gel caps, you just take, there's 2 per day that they recommend, which is under 4 grams. So you just take one in the morning and then maybe one right before you work out. And again, you're not going to bring up insulin. So you've got a good energy. And obviously, as you get more conditioned to it, you can take more gel caps if you want to, if you feel like you want to have more energy. So that's what I like about the MCT as far as the what NSP has, because you don't even have to. Most of it's in a liquid thing. This digests pretty easily, and it typically will not upset your stomach based on how it's put together. So, but typically it is in a liquid form, and again, you could put it in coffee or put it in some kind of a drink to again take it on an empty stomach, get the better absorption.
Well, Armin, as usual, a lot of great information. You definitely have made me think. As we wrap up the segment, any final thoughts?
Yeah, so if you're, dieting, you're doing low carb, you're carb cycling, and you want to, improve your energy system and actually get more fat burning, I think this is a great product to use. You don't have to use NSPs, but I mean, the way it's designed, it's really good. They have C8 and C10. So the C8 and C10 parts of the carbon chain are the ones that really break down and get absorbed very easily. Again, we talk about C6 all the way to C12.
Right.
You don't want to have all these different carbon parts of it. You just want to have the ones that work, that once they hit the liver, they convert rapidly. So that's why they did it with C8 and C10. So 8 carbon and 10 carbon, that's all you're going to have. You're not going to have all the, like in coconut oil, you're going to have all of them.
Right, okay? Right.
You're just going to have them. These are concentrated to the right dosage to get in your system, give you the energy, boom. So that's what, and then you're going to train, harder. You're going to have that good energy, and you're going to get a great pump from them. That's how I would put it. So give it a shot.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You could head over to NSP Nutrition and get yourself some MCT oil. And I think I'm going to try it out. You got me convinced. So I will definitely check that out. And man, we're already at the end of the show. Armin, a lot of great information today on program 9, of course, of the Master Series by Vince, and then MCT oil as well, man. So thank you so much.
No problem. Really enjoy it. I hope you guys get some takeaways, and give that a try and see what you think. I'd like to get some feedback on it as well. But I've been doing it. I like it. So.
Well, and we appreciate the feedback from our audience, whether you're listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment. If you have a topic suggestion, any comments, or even a question, it's something that Armin definitely checks out, and he will respond to you on YouTube in the comment section. If maybe you have a little more detail, or hey, you have a lot of suggestions, or you'd rather email, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can send an email to support@nspnutrition.com, and Armin and I will get that. And Armin, again, thanks again for another great show, and I'm sure everyone definitely appreciates it.
All right. Other than that, let's make it a great day, and we'll talk again real soon.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching and listening, and please check back next week for a brand new episode of the NSP Nutrition Show.
Hey, thanks for checking out the NSP Show. Go to nspnutrition.com, where you can find a whole heap of resources to help you achieve stunning definition and eye-popping levels of muscularity. Don't forget, you can save 10% on your first order by using the code NSP Show at the checkout. Catch you next time.